Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Happy Healthy Whole. And today I'm going to talk about transitioning. A transition can be anything. It can be something as simple as transitioning into a new role at work. It could be a promotion, it could be a demotion, it could be whatever. But some transitions can be large, they can be life-changing. They can be divorce. They can be a loss in your life or whatnot, any kind of loss, because losses of relationships and friendships are losses too. And even if the person isn't dead, a lot of times we still mourn that loss, so to speak. But I want to talk about not allowing someone to shame you into being stationary. What I mean by that is don't allow someone to try to demean you or emasculate you if you're a man, emasculate you into staying to being complacent, so to speak. Let me give you an example of what I mean. There's this guy on my job. He had applied for another job. He had been there for a long time, and he had been in this particular role, and he was very good at his job. But he wanted to transition. He wanted to do something different. So he applied for the job. He didn't tell his supervisor about it until after he had interviewed and had been offered the job. Then he mentioned to his supervisor, he was like, hey, in a week or two, I'm going to be transitioning into this other role, So his supervisor says to him, why you want to do that? Don't just girls do that? There was literally one female doing that particular job in the hospital. One female. Everybody else was a guy. But he was trying to demean that man, trying to emasculate him, so to speak, into becoming or being stationary, being complacent in the role that he was in. And so his response was, yeah, I'm just going to go on over here and do what the ladies doing and get this pay raise. Hey, I ain't mad at him. I understand. Now, the most recent transition that I'm going to have to embrace is I'm about to become an empty nester. My son has already graduated from college, graduated in May, a couple of months ago. Well, more than a couple of months ago, a few months ago now. And he's going to be leaving home soon. So it's going to be just me and my dog. And I'm okay with that. For some people, becoming an empty nester is a lot more difficult. It's a lot more difficult for them to embrace it. I guess maybe they feel like they're going to be lonely, or they feel like they're not going to have as much to do. I don't know. Anyway, I'm like this. That man is grown. Let that man live his life. That's where I am with him. I'm like, hey, live your life, boy. You want to go do something, you want to experience something different, please go and live your life. Please go and do something. Please go and experience something different. Don't sit under me, because that's not growth. I remember when he graduated, I thought about when he first went to school. I remember taking him to pre-K for the first day when he was 4 years old. And I remember taking that day off from work because I had heard all these horror stories about these kids that get dropped off at pre-K for the first time, how they cling on to their parents and they pull on their leg and they cry and they carry on and everything. And I was just preparing for the worst. I took this little boy to pre-K. He turned around. He was like, bye, Mom. Very well adjusted. I was the one who needed counseling after that. I was the one who wanted to cry, and I wanted to hold on to his backpack. I was like, you just gonna leave me? Oh my God. But at at the end of the day, I was happy about I joke about it with people, but I was happy that he was that well adjusted, that he knew that I was coming back at the end of the day, that he didn't need to throw a tantrum or a fit about a transition, because that's what he was doing. He was transitioning into his time to start his outside influences, as I call it. That's when things begin, when you cannot control everything that's going into the eye gate and the ear gate. And that's when all the questions, but why? But why? But why? That's when they all start. But anyway, it was a transition, and he made a good transition. And I hope that this next venture in his life will be a smooth transition. Because now here we are almost 20 years later, and he is very well adjusted as an adult, as well, just as well as he was as a child. And another transition I decided that I was going to transition into a different career myself, just like the guy on my job. But nobody told me, or nobody has said to me at this point, that's just something men do, even though they may be thinking it. But I decided to go back and take some classes. I will say this. For us people, for us that are of a particular age, it's never too late to learn something new. It's never too late to try something new. It's never too late to be new in something, so to speak. So when my son started pre-K, I said that I was going to focus solely on his education to get him to this point that he is now, a college graduate. That was my only focus for, the course of his life for 20 years. I was like, it's time for me to dedicate myself to making sure that he gets what he needs, that he gets the foundation that he needs. And so now that he has that, it's okay for me to take some time for me. Same thing with you or anybody out there that's thinking about doing something else because their kids are grown. I know Melissa McCarthy made a joke of the whole thing, and she went to college with her daughter and all of that. It was a comedy movie, but it is a very real thing for middle-aged people. It's a thought process that we really have to go through, and we really have to embrace, and we really have to say to ourselves that this is okay for us to do, for us to take this time, for us to really invest in ourselves again after we've spent so much time investing in our children. But that's all I was going to say. If you are thinking about transitioning into any new role, any new venture, go ahead. Take the plunge. It's okay. Transition is a part of life. Embrace it.